If this bill sees the light of the day, what will be the impact where you're being required to provide your TIN before opening bank account or engaging in other financial transactions? Let's shift the conversation to Dr. Titi Fowokan, who joins us virtually. She's the president of Association of Fraud Examiners, Southwest Chapter of Nigeria. Dr. Titi Fowokan, glad to have you join us once again this morning. Good to see you again.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you today?
Now, since this news broke, Nigerians have been wondering, a few days ago, the news grabbed this headline, was trending, if I may put it that way. And Nigerians are concerned what necessitated this initiative where individuals will be required to provide what we call tax identification number before opening accounts or engaging in other financial transactions. Give us a picture of what this is all about and what could be the impact for individuals who need to engage in financial transactions.
Okay, the issue about TIN is not something new. It's a project that I've started even when we started doing the Finance Act reviews, starting from the 2019 Finance Act up to date. And that is in terms of making sure that everybody is compliant with their tax obligations. At times we overlook individuals and say that individuals don't do so much economic activity, but we find out that quite a lot of people are now doing so many economic activities that are not within the tax net and are also not captured. Now, the easiest way to be able to track this is through banking transactions, because whether you like it or not, you are either using a POS, you are either using a transfer to do all these payments and the likes. And most people have also moved away from the use of cash, unlike before. When we had the CBN cashless policy, that migrated a lot of people to move away from the use of cash. So the banking system now has a track of all these financial transactions. Now, and also quite a lot of people are not in the tax net, especially because individuals are actually captured by the state internal revenue services of the 36 states of the federation. And one other thing is that only the people that are non-resident individuals that are captured by the Federal Capital Territory, by the Federal Land Revenue Service, and then the FCTIRS also handles anybody in the Capital Territory. So with this project, it means that everybody, whether they like it or not, we have an identification number, but it comes with its own challenges also. And that is, how do you reach the people in the rural areas? Because you need to have a network to even do banking transactions. So some people are even out of the banking system. So what is the plan to even get these people involved? When you're saying that everybody should have a TIN, can it really be everybody? We spoke recently about the areas where we have challenges with the rural areas, the flooded areas, where insurgency is affecting them. We also have rural areas where there are no networks and things like that. So is it going to be an holistic thing? Now, the whole essence of this tax education number is to ensure that we have everybody in the tax net. And we're saying, let's even see a lot of the individuals coming in first, and then we can now start tracking their business transactions, because some people are even operating not within the registered business, like not all the micro businesses are registered, the market women, but they all, one way or the other, use the bank to transact their business. So how do we now ensure we capture them? States are also looking at internally generated revenue. The use of the tax education number is a way of even tracking those who are registered for tax, those who are doing economic activity that they need to pay tax on. So the whole essence of this is to bring in as many people into the tax net through the banking system, which has now captured the law. We have those who use the fintech products like the PalmPay, the OPay, and the likes. So we already have the information that people have, the knowledge of people about the banking system is now wide. And so the best is to see how this system will be used to track people that are not in the tax net. And this is also a way of coming up with a regime that will be able to apply the tax rules on individuals, as many as can fall into the net. So this, from my own perspective, this is what the government is trying to do in terms of shifting away from, everybody's looking at oil, we're now looking at tax, shifting away from oil to tax revenue generation. And there is the only way you can even track this and have proper records is when there's a unique identifier for each individual. And that's where this issue about tax allocation number through the banking system is coming up. But the challenges may be the inclusiveness of people in the rural areas or less advantaged areas. Thank you.
All right, the motive sounds good, but let's look at, will this not further complicate the processes of opening bank accounts or engaging in financial transactions, create what I call bottleneck, knowing fully well that the processes of getting TIN, what you popularly call TIN in Nigeria, it's somehow not that flexible. Will you not further complicate issues or the processes involved in banking transactions and other financial transactions?
There's nothing that you're starting new that will not have its own bottlenecks. That's the way I see it. But for this to be implemented properly, it would have been good for there to be proper system in place, because this means that people's transactions will be stored. This means that we have long queues again in the bank, just like when we did the NIN linking. When people now have to do their NIN, do the BVN, we saw the way people were queuing and sleeping in the banking system, in the banks, to be able to do this. This is going to be like another one. I quite agree with you. This is going to be another way whereby people will now have to go and queue and do that. So for government to do this effectively, there must be a phase. I think it should be phased. Not that you tell everybody within a particular time to go and do this. They can decide to face it like maybe today, a particular period be set aside for the market women or for the micro businesses. A day might be set aside for workers. So, or a week set aside for workers, probably not also on the workers' side, do it by sector. Because if you say everybody should do it within a particular time, then we're going to be creating a situation of chaos. And there must be a time range within which people will be allowed to do this. Otherwise, we will not be able to achieve. So what that means is that while this is going on, then they should still be allowed to do some parallel run in terms of their business, given a time frame. Let's assume that we've given, we say we give people in the markets this week or month to do it. So it means that for that period, they're not going to be having problems with any other one not in that sector. Others can continue with their businesses while they face it on a face by face. What we've always seen is that when such things like this happen, we just want everybody to do it at the same time, and then it stalls all the business. Now, apart from that, the banks will have to step up. I see a bit of a challenge, because even as it is now, once the banks are having problem with their platform, everything shuts down, and then people now start struggling with their business. But if it's something that has to be done in other climes, in fact, every country, developed country that we talk about, they have data. Everybody passes through the banking system. They have the data of everyone, every transaction you do. Even when you go to the shops and they do things, when they put in their teller machine in the UK or anywhere, and they are putting in these transactions, they already have this recorded, and it goes through the banking system, and they have a unique identifier. So I think instead of now saying you use TIN and every bank, we already have NIN, we have BVN. These are data that can be used rather than make everybody to go and queue up and start doing the TIN. The authorities can actually have a linking. For instance, if you want to do your tax registration now with state, let me take Lagos State for instance. If you go online and you want to do a tax registration, it will ask you things about, ask your BVN and some other details. Quite a lot of people have this, especially for those who are in the banking system. So they can, first of all, deal with those ones that already have information that just need to get the TIN, and then the authorities can assign TIN to those ones once they can confirm they are already in the banking system. That phase would go. Then they can now start with another phase and take it maybe state by state, region by region, phase it out. Otherwise, it will cause chaos. and it will affect businesses. Good intention, but the how it is implemented matters. Tax board is the body that ties all the states. That's the unifying body for all the states. And I know that the joint tax board is the one championing the tax identification number for individuals, such that you have a unique identifier. So it is expected that the CBN will work with the joint tax board to make this seamless. It would not affect the financial inclusion that the CBN is planning, because it's a different process on its own. It should just not be an additional burden on people such that they are unable to do their financial transactions. And that's why I'm saying where the CBN is able to work with the joint tax board, it's easier to implement, because the joint tax board, through its members, already have a database of individuals, and that will be done. Now, for those who are not already in the state, then it means that each state will now have to develop and devise it. For instance, all those things you talk about, collecting the tickets from local government, they're actually not taxes, because we have difference between taxes and levies. And that's why there's a definition of tax by the National Tax Policy 2017 as to what constitutes tax. Then we have levies. What they are paid to local government are levies. They are charges. And that's why they give them the ticket. Tax is actually based on your income. If you look at some of these tickets they buy, you use a space. I give you a ticket for using the space, not on the income they generate from that particular business they are doing. So there's a different thing between what the local government collects and what the state taxes are all about. So a different base, different scope. So I don't think it will affect the financial inclusion that the CBN is planning if there's a coordination. We seem to have data in different pockets of government agencies. And I believe that harmonization of data would make this process seamless as much as possible. Now, the question that we should be asking ourselves is, do we even know how many are the unbanked in the society? If we are unable to identify the unbanked, then it means that we may not even be able to identify those who are unbanked and don't have TIN, because you can only talk of TIN when you have a way of capturing the data. They will also have to ask ourselves a question in terms of the population data that we have. Do we have good population of those who are not within the rural areas and need to be reached? And this is where the state and local government needs to work together to be able to have a complete data of the population and the different strata that they belong to. That is, if these things are not done, I want to go to the TIN way, we'll probably be putting the cart before the horse. We must put the horse before the cart. Let's even be sure that the available data are being used to the maximum possible. A lot of people in the market don't even understand this TIN you're talking about. And for them to be able to go through that, the states needs to now join forces with the local government for education of the grassroots people. And that's how you can even have all this inclusion, financial inclusion, and everything that we're talking about. So I believe that it is not a job for CBN alone. It's a job for the state to work with CBN and the local government to be able to read the unbanked people, because those are the people that really this new process may affect much.